Mendorez's arrest. I entered the building at precisely 7:34 p.m. I recognized Mendorez from the description given and apprehended him. Due to the fact I was operating alone, I had to do it by myself. Once he'd been subdued, I approached the crime scene, where I found Luciano. I called for backup and had them move Luciano to police custody immediately. There's no mistaking he was dead. There was blood everywhere! Hold it. That last part. Blood everywhere? Just what kind of murder are we dealing with? A poisoning. And yet there was blood everywhere.
Hold it!
That was Mr. Togamera being dramatic. You'll find, Mr. Gavin, that he's that way often. Yes, I figured as much. That's not the part that bothers me. Why was there any blood at all? Blood implies a struggle, yet we haven't heard anything about one. I believe I can explain that.
Take that!
The poison that was used is known for affecting the nervous and digestive systems. After consuming it, Luciano passed out. His body instinctively vomited, carrying some blood in the process. He remained unconscious for some time before his nervous system fully failed, killing him. So the blood was from his, throw up? A nasty way to go. Well, that explains that. Any further questions, Mr. Gavin? Yes. Unconscious for several minutes, you say? We don't have an autopsy report, so there's no way to know when Luciano truly passed away. I want to know if he was still living, albeit unconscious, when you got there. I'm not sure. What a shame. Eh? No autopsy? No, Your Honor. Another effect of the Revalis' family's interference. Well, that's no good. Why on earth would they bother with that? To throw off the case, Your Honor. There may be evidence regarding the body that points to the suspect. My. How could they possibly have any leverage over an autopsy? Simply put, Luciano worked for them. Yikes! That's right! Carlos Luciano was an assassin for the family. From what we can tell, he was their top hitman.
Objection!
If that's the case, I think you've just killed your own motive. Forgive the metaphor. What do you mean, Mr. Gavin? Are we forgetting that my client is also with the family? And a high-ranking officer at that? What good would killing his own subordinate do? That is a good point, eh? Why don't you explain your argument for us a bit better? Certainly, Your Honor. My client and Luciano were partners, not enemies. In addition, he is very wealthy. What would $1 million matter to him? The family pays him very well, and they would not support a killing of their own assassin. Apart from the bounty, what motive could Mendorez have? It seems his motive was not as clear as you say it was. Well, you make a compelling argument. Mr. Williamson, what are your thoughts, eh? On principle, I must disagree. Let's hear your rebuttal then. Of course, Mr. Gavin. Without the motive, we still have a witness and evidence. However, I should find a way to break this. It might be important later. And this excludes him from murdering Luciano? Maybe not completely. However, it does cast a certain amount of doubt. I am curious as to why he'd kill his friend for money. Judge, they were hardly friends. Luciano and Mendorez worked together, nothing more. And how are you such an expert on their relationship? Simple. The man confessed to it. Mendorez could have been lying to distance himself from the victim. I don't see how that would do anything but hurt your case. Perhaps. Let's find out. $1 million is significant, no matter how you look at it.
No doubt, but to some more than others. If one is already a millionaire, as my client is, would it be worth it to kill for another?
A millionaire?
His employers are quite generous.
Mr. Gavin, you may be forgetting that his employers are the Mafia. Our laws and morals clearly mean nothing to him.
I would think that remaining a free man does. There's a cost-reward factor for everything. Isn't the cost of getting caught for murder too much compared to the reward in this case?
Murder might not be worth it if he could lose everything. And if he got away with it, what then?
He would get the money, I suppose. But, as I pointed out, it wouldn't be worth as much as it would be for somebody of somewhat of humbler background.
This motive for money isn't proving as successful as I had hoped. There is another reason Menderes might want that money. I may need to elaborate more. I'll grant you that the man is worth a lot.
Why stop there? You won't acknowledge the folly of the families killing their top hitman?
Michael Ravalis is infamous for his disregard of human life. I can name more than a few people suspected to be hits from him.
And there's a good chance each of those people was killed by Luciano.
Perhaps he knew too much and became a liability. In the end, the motive should not matter so much as the who and the how.
Ah, so pure hard logic? Mine says it wouldn't make sense to kill a man so skilled for so little.
Why would Mr. Menderes kill a valuable asset for money? It's not anything he would ever get away with if Ravalis found out. Which might mean... Do I need anything beside the obvious?
As I've pointed out, what is obvious to you might not be to others. I've given an argument for how your reasoning might be faulty. Is it too much to ask that you support your own accusation?
While financial gain would normally be sufficient, I feel further support is needed. If you can provide us more information, please do so. I will, Your Honor. Just give me a moment to think.
Stumbling so early into the trial.
Menderes may not need the money, is that what you're saying? Well, perhaps there was somebody else who needed it. When has monetary gain ever not been a sufficient motive?
I didn't say it wasn't. However, given his already wealthy status, he'd need more incentive than normal, yes? $1 million doesn't mean as much to him as it would to you or me.
Perhaps. In any other situation, more money would seal the deal. Yet I'm faltering here. No matter. I'll need to adapt my theories to fight his. I can do that. I may need to present a new option.
This is kind of like an attorney cross-examining a witness. Only it's with the defense.
That's right, although I'm not entirely sure why you'd bring this up now.
A little review every now and then never hurt anyone.
Right. Time to tear apart Mr. Gavin's theory.
Present... profiles, I guess? Assistant... Witness... Girl... Killed... Defending attorney... Defendant... Wait, where is the guy? Michael Ravalis. Where is the actual... That's weird. Save.
Objection.
The money was not for himself. It was for his uncle and their gang.
That's a bold move, accusing a man like him. Will you be going now to say that Ravalis was in on the death?
I can't do that. There's no evidence for it. It isn't something either Ravalis or Menderes would ever admit. But I can say this. Michael Ravalis is a shrewd man. Currently, Ravalis would want to do whatever he could to strengthen his gang.
What do you mean by currently? Do you believe Michael Ravalis was aware that the murder would occur?
It's not something I plan to pursue at the moment. But it seems likely. Tensions between the Ravalis and the Cadaverinis are high right now. The police are worried an all-out gang war could happen. If that's the case, Ravalis would do anything he could to be prepared.
A gang war? I'm not sure how I feel about that. Menderes is not on spectacular terms with his uncle as of recently. Why would he work for his benefit? To me, it doesn't make sense. Why not just kill Luciano and take the money to spite Ravalis? And you said that the family was delaying the prosecution. Why would Ravalis help keep his hated nephew out of prison?
Their bad blood seems to be recent. If my theories are correct, Menderes may be responsible for the current situation with the Cadaverinis. I believe he and Luciano caused the mess, and now Menderes is trying to regain favor with his uncle.
By killing the victim? No charges have been brought against the mob leader then, eh?
We can't connect him to the crime, so no. He did not kill Luciano. For all I can be certain, Menderes was working alone. He's not the killer, but he arranged it all right. He set them up with that girl, the one he kidnapped.
A kidnapping?
No, that's not what I meant.
Don't stop now, detective. What did you just say?
The little girl staying in the diner had been kidnapped.
Well now, isn't that an interesting thing to discuss?
The girl is not related to the murder.
Curse that
Togamera. I explicitly told him to avoid the topic.
Overruled. Please continue, detective.
Koshari says he saw the girl with the man before she was taken away. Based on his description of her, we believe it to be Pearl Faye, a child who recently vanished. Just a few nights ago, she disappeared. A family friend received a threatening phone call after. The family denies involvement, but it's obvious they're lying. Yet, as I've stated, neither her nor the enforcer escorting her killed Luciano. The poison's effects kicked in too quickly.
You can't downplay this, Williamson. She may not have killed him, but her presence opens up a whole new motive for murder. And that in itself will open up the possibility of more suspects.
Nonsense! Togamera, you fool!
Is it really so hard to believe? After all, it is a much more noble motive. Killing for money? That's horrible. But killing to rescue a child? Why, that's something any good Samaritan might be willing to do. You believe this girl is Pearl Faye? Her family wishes to see her return. Anybody who does it will be a hero.
But that makes no sense. What good would killing her captor do after she's been long gone? You know the poison was administered after she'd left.
Yeah, that's not right. You couldn't rescue her if she'd already left the building. Anybody seeing a kidnapped child would want to do something. They might not have been able to rescue her, but still. Just think of those evil men still walking free. It would be horrible to think of. Enraging, even.
Are you admitting that your client is a kidnapper?
Only that it may have appeared he was one, and that is all that matters. It sounds as though the prosecution didn't think enough of the kidnapping. It's clearly more important than they thought. It is an interesting thing to consider. Thank you, Your Honor. As you can see, it gives our case a whole new meaning. Anybody who knew of the missing girl will be on the lookout for her. This is my new suspect for the... There is my new suspect for the moment. Anyone. And what are the prints on the bottle, huh? All in good time, young man. I'll get around to that eventually. And I'm just getting warmed up. Your Honor, I'd like to continue our argument on Mr. Menderes' motive.
I believe you're right. Let's discuss this some more then. Mr. Gavin, if you will.
Now, instead of one possible motive, we have two. A reward for killing and a rescue. It seems we have a reason to suspect more people than just the defendant. He's still trying to break down that motive.
Never mind that. Even if he succeeds, we still have plenty.
Yeah, you don't really need a motive if you can prove beyond a doubt he did it.
Why would Mr. Gavin need to focus this much on the motive at this point in the trial? I'll still fight the argument, but if I can't, no matter. We'll just move on to the real meat of this case. I fail to see how this changes matters.
It changes it greatly. Before there was only a bounty for an assassination. Now there's rescuing an innocent child. I'd say that expands the demographic of willing culprits significantly. Who knows? Maybe somebody would try to fulfill both. Assuming Luciano was one of our kidnappers, wouldn't it make sense to target him?
A wonder poisoning him has done for saving the girl.
Yes, she is still missing. How sad. The point remains.
How do you remain so cool while speaking this, Mr. Gavin? I've given an explanation for this. You've yet to counter it.
Perhaps, since your case is based on the bounty, perhaps you could explore it further.
What do you wish to know?
Why was it out there in the first place? Who put it up?
So far, nobody has admitted to it. We believe it was the Cadaverinis.
Cadaverini? As in that mobster Bruto Cadaverini?
Bruto was assassinated just a few weeks back, you'll recall. Rumor has it, Carlo Luciano was spotted in the area the night he was slain.
Ah, yes, that's right. That must be why tensions are so high.
The Cadaverinis believe Michael Ravalis was behind the attack. There have been threats of a gang war. Ravalis has denied everything.
I'd imagine he'd want to play safe the Cadaverinis any way he could. They're not to be messed with. Could Luciano have been working alone?
Given his status, we may never know. Ravalis is a ruthless man, but he's no fool. He wouldn't risk it. Short of somebody in the know flat out admitting it, it may remain a mystery.
Interesting. Say you are right. How angry would Michael Ravalis be at Luciano? If I were him, I'd be furious for going behind my back.
It may be why we have a dead assassin on our hands now. Though truth be told, we've only found one poster so far.
Thank you for this information. It's been very enlightening. Eh? What are you getting at? A bounty from the Cadaverini family? Just how likely would they be to pay Ravalis? He is one of their biggest competitors. That's right. They suspected his hitman of killing Bruto. Please don't tell me the big bad old Mikey Ravalis killed Luciano just to avoid a gang war. I've heard too much about this man to assume he's that much of a pushover. Ugh. Wow, you walked right into that one.
Not now, Mr. Jameson.
Prosecutors aren't the only one who can set them. Say it with me. It's a trick.
Not now. I must admit I didn't have as much time as I would have liked to investigate. How did you come by your information on the child?
Why, her grandmother told me. Shall we call her and find out? I promise you my source is legitimate. Has anybody found the young girl yet?
That's a negative. We can't even charge her captors because there's no proof. Mr. Kushari is the only one who may have seen her, and he couldn't ID her definitively.
Well, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Your Honor, if Mr. Mendez supposedly kidnapped the girl, would he really try to return her?
It could be a ransom.
I think not. They would have made demands, but of course the old lady has received none. If he kidnapped her, then he would not kill Luciano to return her. A good point. I'd like to hear more of your thoughts on this. As you can see, there's little reason to think my client would have done it for either reason. It seems so. Remember what I just said though, that this should open a motive for other people. Once we accept the possibility that he is not the only suspect, a whole variety of scenarios can be seen.
Blast it! You think you'll tear my case apart so easily?
It's a bit silly to claim we're open for more suspects when we're still only at the one. I was expecting better from this Gavin guy.
We've yet to delve into anything of actual significance, but I suspect he's playing it that way. I still have cards up my sleeve, and I'm sure he does as well. If you'd prefer a literary term, he's merely setting up the exposition.
Leading right into his trap, yeah? Those cards won't play themselves. Let's get to it, old man.
And here I was thinking that Obi was bad. This is just getting started for both of us, Mr. Gavin. We haven't even touched on the real meat of this case. Now it begins! Either way you look at it, Luciano is dead.
Yes, but why would Menderes specifically kill him? We've been over this. The Cadaverinis wouldn't fund their rivals. A kidnapper would hardly be rewarded for rescuing the one he kidnapped. Could it be he wasn't killed for money? An interesting thought, perhaps. Mr. Williamson, will you be changing your stance?
No.
I see. No point in bringing it up then. Gotta keep your options open, right?
True, but up until now, there's been no reason to believe otherwise. We'll see how things take their course.
Hold it!
Just how many more people had the opportunity to kill him?
He's gonna accuse the witness, of course. I haven't even touched on the opportunity. This is the motive. He claimed my client operated based on financial gain. Yet why should we suspect this?
And again I ask you, what about the opportunity?
All in good time. I have my theories, as you have yours.
Just answer the blasted question!
Relax, this is still just a motive, right? We still got solid proof and a witness to it all. Gotta pick your battles.
Looks like you weren't really dozing off during all those lectures I gave you.
Of course. The whole apathy thing is just a facade. It catches your enemies off guard. You lure them into a false sense of security, and then strike while their guard is down.
Sometimes you worry me, Mr. Jameson.
Evidence. Bounty. Bridge. Poison. Map. Bell. Let's see, what can I present? Alright, I can present the map, I guess.
Objection!
Oh yeah, that's wrong. Maybe I could just present the poison already.
Objection!
The prosecution will acknowledge that Mr. Menderes' motive is not quite clear.
Don't feel bad. The ability to admit defeat is a quality of greatness.
Your condescending remarks are meaningless. You haven't won anything yet. Mr. Gavin, you seem to be forgetting something very important.
Yes?
Hard proof. Fingerprints on the murder weapon. Care to explain your way out of that? Or how about this? A witness who saw the two together moments before the death. And honestly, what compelled you to argue against a motive of monetary gain? Perhaps Menderes is just the same as any other villain. Greedy. Whatever the motive may have been, there's still much against the defendant.
I see. I'll admit my case could be explained a bit more.
I would certainly hope so. You've done nothing so far but waste our time with possibilities. I have physical proof pointing to the defendant. You cannot ignore it forever.
Ah, yes. That was brought up at the very beginning of the trial.
Forgotten already, had you? This court cannot convict a man on motive alone, nor will he be cleared by it.
Aha! You wish to call your next witness.
Of course. The man saw the crime. Let's hear from him. Prosecutor, if you're finished with me, I'll depart. I have other plans to attend to. So quick to get out of here, detective? Well, no matter. We no longer need you. That man bothers me. I can't quite decide why. Please state your name and occupation for the court.
I am Salim Kushari. I am a chef at a restaurant. Don't be so humble, buddy. You don't work there. You run the place. Aha! You are right, my friend. A restaurant? What kind? It is only a small one, Your Honor. We have a very small staff. I must cook the food myself also. Oh? You must be busy. Are you any good? I must be modest, Your Honor, but many people have told me it is very good. Best in the city. The number 7 set is great. Ah, maybe. But beware of that one. Because 7, 8, 9.
Did you have to set him up for that? Moving on. The victim was killed in Mr. Kushari's diner. Once the enforcer left with the girl, he was one of 3 men left in the building. The other 2, of course, being Mendez and Luciano.
Yes, we had few customers this day. I sent the rest of my staff home early. I'm sure they'd be grateful after learning what happened. Oh, they were. Thank God I was the only one who had to see it. Did you, sir? When I spoke to you the other day, it sounded an awful lot like you didn't. You? Are you calling me a liar?
He refers to the actual moment of the crime. You didn't see either the poisoning or subsequent death, only the results.
Yes, then you are right. I did not. What did you see? I found him after he was dead. Well, if that's all you have to tell us, we may as well get on with it. You! Give me some respect. I did not ask for this. Unfortunate. You seem very hot-headed. I must remember to tread carefully around you, Mr. Kushari.
Please, Mr. Kushari, just tell us what happened. The court will hear your whole story.
Yes, Mr. Prosecutor Williamson. Dang it, I can't get these accents right. I served food to the 2 men after the others went. While they ate, I stepped into the kitchen for just a moment. When I came back, the one-eyed man was dead. I called the police immediately, and Mr. Togomera arrived quickly. Thank you. Now I have a few questions. First of all, the others? Who did you mean? The girl and the big man, of course. The kidnapped child.
Pearl Fay and Wayne Parker, presumably, though we can only speculate on the former.
Just speculation?
Mr. Kushari didn't have a name to go on. He only knew her briefly by appearance.
I didn't think it was strange, you see. She didn't seem any different from any other child who comes into my restaurant. I did not know she was kidnapped. Those awful men. And this fellow, Mr. Parker? Couldn't you have just questioned him?
According to him, he was not told the identity of the girl. In any case, the man is rather spineless, to put it bluntly. There is no chance he would say anything his employers didn't want him to.
Now, Mr. Kushari, you said you stepped out. Why? I was the only one working all day, so the work was my duty. I had spilled a big mess while making the food, and I went back for the cleaning. How long did you spend on that? Not long, not long. It was only a few minutes. Your 2 customers were alone during this time? Yes, you are right. How do you know? How do I know? They were the only 2. I am not a fool, Mr. Attorney Gavin.
Objection.
Calm yourself, Mr. Kushari. Let me handle this. Allow me to explain. This is how Mr. Kushari is 100% sure they were alone.
Take that.
The door leading into the restaurant is equipped with a small bell. It alerts the owners whenever somebody goes in or out.
Of course. They are very common.
Does that satisfy you, Mr. Gavin?
Partially. You mentioned the mess was large. Did you ever clean it up? Leave the prosecuting to your boss, young man. I'm sure he knows what the matter is. You aren't the only one who can investigate a crime scene. That mess was never cleaned up. Mr. Gavin, is there something you're trying to insinuate here? Mr. Kashari went into the kitchen to clean a mess, but it never happened. Witness, care to elaborate? Why, I saw the body, of course. I knew a man died. That was more important. You would not clean just a mess then either. Maybe it's time to bring out the big guns, finally. I believe you are lying, Mr. Kashari. What? Why? Lying? Why on earth? Your story does not add up. You were in the kitchen. Ergo, you should not have seen anything.
Mr. David, this is hardly professional. Accusing a man of perjury with no proof? The witness does not deserve that.
I expected I should elaborate more. Well, here you are. Mr. Kashari claims he went into the kitchen to clean a mess. I say he's lying. He could not have seen the body while he was in there. So how did he know? I say he knew about it beforehand. As a good reason as any to lie. And why would he lie? Simple. He was involved. Now, don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit? The witness only just started talking. And I see a contradiction. I pointed out. This is the logical conclusion.
Objection.
Logical smogical. Mr. Kashari's a stand-up guy. Any idiot could see the problem with what he's saying. What are we gonna do about this?
Counter the accusation and clear him. It's the only thing to do. Mr. David knows I have to protect my witness. He is leading the trial where he wants. I get the feeling he's planned quite a bit. I sense a trap.
Well, obvious thing to present is the map.
He works in a restaurant. What's so unbelievable?
A mess doesn't bother me. I'm sure those happen all the time. It's the conclusion we must draw from it.
And what is that?
An opportunity. An opportunity to know a murder had occurred. Or, in our case, a lack of one. For you see, let me look at this. Yeah, there's a window right here.
I suggest you review your court record. Maybe then you'll see where you're wrong.
Wrong? Unless he can look through walls, I can't see how that's possible.
Perhaps he can.
Is our witness the man of steel now? Fill me in, prosecutor. How could he see through that wall? What sort of airhead blibber blabber is this?
The intentionally airheaded kind. He's not an idiot. This argument's a setup.
A setup? Well, looks like the judge is buying it. Step carefully, okay? Don't want stuff you say here to bite us later.
I don't have a choice. I'll have to continue with the obvious contradiction. Are you suggesting he was an accomplice?
Why not? His place is where the murder happened. Whoever is at fault would have an easier time by including him. That might be reasonable. Reasonable? How can you listen to him? Am I catching a nerve? Are things bad yet?
Our witness was just accused of perjury. What do you think?
My female intuition says yes.
Your female intuition?
Yeah, my mom always said men don't really have it, right? But I'm feeling something right now, and I know it must be bad, so she must...
Let's leave it at you have a bad feeling and we'll talk about your mother later.
Sure, that might work too.
There's nothing to suggest that.
Only if you ignore what I've already said. Listen to what he's saying, prosecutor, and think about it for a moment.
Ha! I don't need to. The answer is plainly clear.
It may be hard to accept, but this witness is not the good man you believe it is. What? I am not the one defending a mafia man.
Well said, Mr. Kashari. Well said.
Okay, now I know that's not true. Mr. Kashari's a great guy.
Mr. Gavin's willing to throw him under the bus to get his client acquitted.
What a sleazebag.
Mr. Kashari is an honest man. He wouldn't lie on the stand. There simply is no contradiction with what he told us. If he says he saw the body from the kitchen, I know I can believe him.
Where'd that map go?
Objection.
You seem to be making a habit of overlooking things, not a desirable quality.
So quick to judge.
Judging others is part of my job. Take a look at the restaurant's floor plans. The victim and suspect were here. The kitchen is over here.
And a huge wall between them.
Yes, but another huge thing as well.
Take that.
There is a service window covering a good chunk of the wall.
Eh? A window?
It is one that's used to deliver food to customers from the kitchen. It's not tall, but it's big enough the people in the kitchen can look through.
Ah, I've seen those in restaurants before. Of course, Mr. Your Honor. That are very common.
Using this window, it would have been very easy to notice that Luciano was dead. This was the case, was it not, Mr. Kashari?
You are correct, Mr. Prosecutor. I saw him that way.
You see, Gavin's logic has a hole just as big as this window.
Oh my, what a clumsy mistake of me. I'm very sorry. After an accusation like that, I'll have to penalize you, Mr. Gavin. Understood. I'll take the hit. Aha! Even after all you have mustered, you cannot catch up to Mr. Williamson. Ah ha ha ha! He seems calm. Too calm. I'm betting he set that up again.
It's possible. He's no idiot.
I think I have seen enough. I know the truth behind this murder. Do you now? I hope you will not still persecute me. I did nothing wrong. Patience, my anger-prone friend. I will explain everything. Well, I suppose there's no subtle way to say this. But here I go. Salim Kushari killed Luciano. Hey, you can't do that!
Nonsense! He would have no reason to try for the bounty.
A bounty?
If you'll recall, Detective Togamera stated we've only found the one poster. If that's true, there isn't much chance Mr. Kashari would recognize Luciano.
Ah, yes, that bounty. It's true. Aren't you forgetting something? The girl.
The girl?
Forget the bounty. I'm speaking of Miss Faye's rescue. Kushari seems to have a strong sense of justice and a hatred for criminals. And he is quite the hot-tempered man as well. I wonder if he thought he recognized the child from the news. He was furious at the two men. He thought something had to be done. To directly confront two powerful mobsters, it would be suicide. But to use a more covert method? Poison, perhaps?
Objection.
We searched the whole place and we didn't find any poison but the one bottle. Cut the crap, why don't you?
He's right. There's nothing pointing to the witness, Mr. Gavin.
Your Honor, that offense would like to present this bottle, found at the crime scene. It contained the same poison as before, but it lacked something very important. Mr. Menderes's fingerprints.
Order! Order! Everybody calm down at once! Mr. Gavin, where did that come from? Where did you find that bottle?
Me? I'm not the one who found it. Detective Togamera did. It was stashed in a cabinet on the Diamond's kitchen. You can confirm it with him if you wish. If the court tests the vial, I believe you'll be quite interested in what you find. You rotten man! I know what you are doing! Me? Rotten? I haven't killed anyone, which is more than some of us here can say. Beyond Menderes, only one person had the opportunity to poison the victim's food. That was you, Mr. Kushari. You killed him.
Hold on a moment.
Mr. Gavin, I'd like for you to explain your reasoning. Yes, of course. First, recall that our suspects are rather limited. Prosecutor Williamson just proved that any of the three men would have noticed another entering. Nobody else, including the girl and enforcer, could have poisoned Luciano. However, that leaves two men with the perfect opportunity. My client and the chef. Mendez was with Luciano the whole time, but Kushari, nobody knows because he was alone. He sent home his whole staff, miraculously on the day a murder occurred. He also had a very good way of knowing what the two customers were doing with the window. He could easily see them, while it would be harder for them to watch him. Furthermore, Mr. Mendez's motive is sketchy at best, yet we have a very lovely one for the witness.
Objection.
Is this why you spent so much time on the motive?
I knew Pearl Fay must be important to the case. It's a shame you overlooked her. Plus, remember,
We can't even charge her captors because there's no proof. Mr. Kashari is the only one who may have seen her, and he couldn't even ID her definitively.
the police aren't sure that the girl was Pearl Fay. Yet Mr. Kashari himself seems rather certain now. Why? He thought he recognized her, and that is why he killed Luciano. He was furious at the men who kidnapped a child and wanted to rid the world of them. Pure, cold-hearted vigilantism. Kushari has the perfect motive. I am not the killer! Let the evidence tell us who is. Once the police have given the results from the test, the truth will be apparent.
Objection.
Mr. Gavin, are you going to ignore everything against your client?
Pot meets kettle, Williamson. I've presented a compelling case. I have a solid motive, while you lack one. The two suspects had equal amount of opportunity. And when the vial is tested, you'll see there is physical evidence as well. The least you can do is wait and see.
Gah! You condescending little...
This second capsule will be tested for fingerprints. While we are waiting on it, the court will adjourn for recess. Splendid. I will see you all later. But Mr. Prosecutor Williamson, please do not let him do this.
Don't worry, you're safe with me, Mr. Kashari.
Obadiah, prosecutor's lobby, please.
My thoughts exactly. Let's get some quiet. All my careful planning undone so quickly. I have to salvage this case and get it back on course. If I don't...
Open and shut, huh? This whole thing just got turned around.
we can still fight him. Our case still has more ground. The defense can't argue with the fingerprints on the poison bottle.
But the luck he's having, it's only a matter of time.
It's not luck.
Obi, I've got a really bad feeling about this.
Me too, Mr. Jameson. Gavin is rubbing me in all the wrong ways. You said you researched him? What do we know?
I just skimmed his records. He sat on the Bar Association for a few years. Most of his votes have gone just how you'd expect. Nothing too strange.
You say most?
He doesn't like to rock the boat a lot. But there was one time a while back, some attorney who forged evidence. Our friend Christoph was the only one who voted in favor of him. Doesn't sound weird, but then you hear he's been close friends with the guy ever since.
So he had a conflict of interest. He shouldn't have sat at the hearing. That's the bar's fault just as much as his.
Wait till you hear this though. That lawyer was Phoenix Wright.
Phoenix Wright?
The same.
The same Phoenix Wright who the child was...
Who Pearl Fay was staying with the night she vanished. And Kristoff's all buddy-buddy with the guy.
Who reported the kidnapping?
It was Wright. Kinda sad. He supposedly had some really great reputation. You know, for the whole illegal evidence thing.
Now I remember the name. The nearly unbeatable rookie attorney. He defeated so many of my colleagues. Prosecutors who'd never lost a case. That must be how. How many guilty men did he get cleared? Gavin voted in his favor? And they've kept in contact? And now Gavin is trying to get my star witness convicted in Mendorez's place. With a piece of evidence that has shown up seemingly out of nowhere. Friends with a man disbarred for forgery. It all makes sense.
Obi, if you clench your teeth any harder, they're gonna fall out.
Mr. Jameson, when a married person is found dead, who is often the lead suspect?
The spouse, of course.
Yes, the person with closest access.
Look, I know what you're thinking, right? And I agree. But you have to admit, it's a long shot. There's no proof. It's all circumstantial.
Yes, the kidnapping isn't our case.
Kidnapping a little girl and now trying to blame poor Mr. Kashari on a murder. Why would they do it?
The girl must be connected to the murder somehow. Gavin can't admit she's the Fae child, but neither can he deny her presence or our suspicions. He wants to use that against us to set Mendorez free.
You really think it was him? Do you think Phoenix Wright kidnapped Pearl Faye?
All circumstantial. I could never prove it. Phoenix Wright. If you did it, I'll see you burned in the pit of hell for this.
So that's why. That's why you've held a grudge against me. Thought I was some kind of monster.
I've pig-headedly held on to that thought since that day. I could never prove you've done it. Because, of course, you hadn't. Ms. Pearl was responsible for her own disappearance in the end, as we found out. And as it turns out, you never forged anything. Everything I ever was certain about, you turned out to be a lie.
And Jimmy?
He was committed to finding Ms. Faye. Like me, he spent most of those years on the wrong track, assuming that she had actually been kidnapped. But he's a better judge of character than me. From the moment you two spoke, he believed it was never you. I wasn't quite so ready to accept that I may have been wrong.
Jimmy was murdered because he was getting too close to the truth. Something about MM6 must have been worth killing over. You know what it was?
No. Even now, I don't have all the answers. Ms. Pearl has been found, and the case was closed long ago.
There must be more.
Or?
You ended the trial at a recess. Aren't you going to tell me what happened next?
Eventually. But I'm a busy man, and so are you. I don't have all day to tell stories. I may not be prosecuting tomorrow, but I still have matters to attend to.
You're not prosecuting?
I withdrew from the case due to the circumstances. I hope you understand.
Of course I do. I think I'd do the same in your place. We'll be replacing you.
You're in good hands. From what I understand, you two have already met. The chief prosecutor himself had a hand in arranging it.
The chief prosecutor? I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
I'll be watching you from the gallery. I'm still deeply invested in the case, regardless of whether or not I'm at the bench. All the answers are about to reveal themselves.
Well, ending it there then.